Okay, neighbors, let's get started here. Heating up some oil in my wok. I'm making it. First one thing I'm going to make is tofu stir fry. If you don't like tofu or don't have tofu on hand and whatever, you can wash and peel a potato and slice it, okay? And do everything else the same that you would do, but replace the tofu with the potato. Use a firm or a medium firm to a firm tofu, not a soft one, because it won't hold up. Straining it, cube it up any size you want. Some of my cubes I make too small, but rather than large. That's good. I'm going to have the fan going, and it's going to be quite loud. So in this video, I'm going to do a voiceover just because there's going to be quite a bit of noise. And, it'd be a distraction rather than anything else. So anyway, it is the weekend, and I'm doing up some Chinese food for the fam, just a little treat, just a little bit of a buffet. I was actually going to do a few more things for this video, but I was looking at the amount of food and I was like, no, I think I'll be making enough. So anyway, I got the tofu in some oil in there. Make sure the pan is good and hot, because if not, they could stick. And you should let them just kind of sit for a minute before you try to toss them around. If you have a nonstick pan, that's great. A nonstick wok, whatever, that's great. But still make sure it's hot and that you got some oil in there. But if you don't have a nonstick wok, it definitely has to be braising hot so it doesn't stick. So I'm just going to brown these up. I love tofu, but like I say, you can use potato. So yeah, you just wanted to get a nice light browning on it. Kind of crisp them up a little bit. I love cooking, beyond words. I can't even describe. I like feeding people. I like feeding people more than I like eating the food. So I hope everybody is doing fantastic. Things are going well here. I'm just using my wooden spatula or whatever just to scrape a little bit of the goodness on the bottom of the pan. And the vegetables that are going in later are going to deglaze anything that's stuck on there. But I just like to scrape it. I don't want any burnt bits in my food. I'm just going to take out some of the oil because it's just about finished browning up a little bit. I like it a little bit of a tan color on the tofu. You can go a little darker if you like. But I just don't want to have a oily stir fry, so I'm just taking some of that out. So how many of you all like Chinese food or Japanese food? We love the stuff. Okay, now I'm just getting ready to add some veggies, and you could use different veggies than what I'm using. Use whatever you have in the fridge. It doesn't matter. It's whatever you like to eat. I had some red onion in the fridge, so I'm going to start off with putting my onion in. And you can cut your vegetables up any size that you feel like. I'm just going to get them going. Another thing I did is I soaked some dried shiitake mushrooms for several hours or two overnight. And I got those ready to go. I sliced them up, but I'm going to add my onions first. I can't believe that it's pretty much the end of June. You spend the winter waiting, sometimes waiting for the nice weather to come, and then it comes and it's boom. It seems to go by so fast. A couple of the other veggies that I have is I had a couple of zucchini. Oh, I'm putting the mushrooms in first, getting ahead of myself. Put the mushrooms in there, Jerry. So I'm going to saute those up. Onions, then mushrooms, then the rest of the veggies. You want to make sure everything gets nice and cooked up. Not soft, you don't want your vegetables Chinese cooking, there's still a little bit of a bite to the veggies, but I like the mushrooms and the onions to get a little bit more time than the peppers, because the peppers and that, oops, I had a little bit of water in that. I was get rid of that water. The peppers cook up a lot quicker. So I had 2 zucchini in my refrigerator. Green zucchini. and I cut those up. And I had a green bell pepper and a red bell pepper, and I cut those up. So I threw those in. Nice and colorful. Doesn't it look good already? And it's not even done. And I got to make a sauce to go with it. I tell you, this working with woks are fun. Just want to give you a shot of that. See how pretty that is? Sometimes I find the voiceover strange because I want to just talk to you, like look at the camera and talk, but sometimes, it's too loud to do that. Anyway, what am I doing? 3 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar or rice cooking wine or whatever. So, and then I'm going to put 3 tablespoons of just a regular soy sauce. This one is low sodium soy sauce. I'm going to put 3 tablespoons of that in. And a light soy sauce is mostly for flavor. You don't get a lot of color with it, so I use some dark soy sauce sometimes to get some color. But this now I am putting 2 tablespoons of hoisin sauce. If you drizzle your sauce around the edges of your wok, it will kind of caramelize the sauce a bit before it gets mixed through, and it gives a really nice flavor. I'm just adding a little bit more oil. That was just a tablespoon of oil that I needed. And to the sauce, I'm adding just a few teaspoons of sugar. So, and then give that a mix just to dissolve the sugar in there and mix everything through. And like I say, if you drizzle this around the edge, around the perimeter of your wok, it gives a nice umami, as they say, flavor. A little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt and pepper. You could do that by taste. Give it a little bit of mix a boot. Yeah, what do you all think of the voiceovers? Like, sometimes it's inevitable for me that I have to, but what do you think? Okay, now I'm going to add my sauce. So tasty. And give that a mix about. And I'm just going to give everything a bit of a toss through the sauce, and so that it gets into the tofu a little bit. It doesn't take long after you add the sauce, and then I'm just going to transfer it to a pan. There we go. So yeah, this after you cut the vegetables, everything else is really quick. So when cooking Chinese food, I always have like your ingredients ready, like all your soy sauce and everything like that, because once it goes in the pan, it doesn't take long at all. It's a really fast cooking. This probably took like 10 minutes to make, and that's one thing I like about Chinese food is like you want something quick, just throw together a stir fry. It's so fast and so. Doesn't that look tasty? Tasty, tasty, tasty. Okay, now we're going to get on to the second dish. Yum, yum, yum. I can smell that through the screen. So the second thing I am making is Japanese fried rice. So a day-old short grain rice is perfect for this. However, mine is not a day old. What I did is I made it hours ago, and I spread it out in the pan to dry it out, just like if it was a day old. And with Japanese fried rice, for every serving of rice, you put an egg. So I'm putting 4 eggs plus 1 for good luck in my bowl there. And I'm going to scramble those up. Look at my sweet little puppy by the stove there. Bless her heart. I tell you. I'm putting some oil in my pan and heating up, or my wok, and I'm heating it up. Japanese fried rice is the easiest fried rice you will ever make. It is so simple. Yeah, and it is very good. So I got my eggs scrambled up there. What am I getting? I don't know what I'm getting over there. Oh, I know what I was looking for, but I didn't find it. I was looking for my white pepper. And it was, after this was done, I did find it. It was staring at in front of my face. So I'm just adding a little bit of salt and pepper to my eggs. And you can see the smoke coming off the wok. So it is ready to roll. Give your eggs 30 seconds or so before you start moving them around in the pan. I know it's tempting, but just give it that few seconds and let it all start bubbling up really good. Oh, that's sliced ham, like sliced up ham that you get in the deli section. And I cut them into strips and then I cubed it up. So you want like a slice or two per serving is nice in this. And if you don't want ham, you could use sliced chicken, you can use sliced turkey, you can use sliced pork, whatever you want. Make it yours. So now I'm just moving my egg around before I add everything. And you want to loosen up your rice. I'll show you that in a second. You can loosen it up in the wok, but it's just easier to kind of loosen it up before you add it to the wok. So I'm adding the white parts of green onion. That's another thing. A stem or two of green onion per serving. The white parts go in to cook, and the green parts go later for garnish. This is a bit of sesame seed oil, some smoked sesame seed oil, just a teaspoon on your hands. And then I use that and I break up my rice. I find it easier to do that way. And it is tasty. And then I'm just going to add that into the pan. See how fast and easy this is? Like, I mean, you scramble up an egg, you throw it in a hot wok with some oil. You have your ham cubed up already, and you have your day-old rice. You know, this is great for leftover rice. And you just toss it all in there. This literally is another thing that just takes like 10 minutes. Now, I'm going to move it around a bit in the pan to start, but you don't want to move it around. You don't want to mess around with it too much because you don't want to turn to mush. Okay? So just a few times there just to break it all up. And then I let it sit. And I'll show you 1 second coming up. Let that sit. And now, I think I'm reaching for it. Some cooking wine. Add a few tablespoons of cooking wine to your rice at the side of your wok, and that will help loosen up your rice, and that is delicious. This is just about done. Then I just toss the cooking wine through there. And then I'm going to let it sit and fry up a little bit more and give it another mix about. Add my green onion. Oh, and some light soy sauce I'm adding around the edges. And that gives it umami. That's the one that gives it the umami. If you add it around the perimeter. But don't add too much. You're going to taste for salt. Like your ham's going to be a bit salty. Your soy sauce is going to be a bit salty. But you only want to add a few teaspoons of soy sauce because Japanese fried rice is not a dark rice. So if you feel like you want a bit more salt, add some salt to it instead of soy sauce because you don't want this rice to be dark. So let that fry for a few more seconds or so. And I'm going to get a pan to put it in. And so this one you would salt and pepper it to taste. Give it a little tasty poo. It tastes so good. Tastes so good. Yupper duppers. So I'm just going to transfer this to a pan. It's see how quick and easy that is? You know what I find really strange? I'm only making meals for 4 of us, like 3-4 days a week now. So, and a lot of times they're not great big meals neither. And I find that really strange because a lot of times there are times like at least 3 days a week that Casey is either eating out or him and Lucian are making themselves something to eat, you know, like I find it really weird. It's a new stage of my life and it's different, I have to say the least. I'm garnishing it with some green onions. Yeah, I'm going to have to be making, I can see in the near future, smaller meals coming your way. There we are. Put that aside. So I'm just trucking away over here. 2 thumbs up so far. Not running out of energy. Still got it going here. So on to the next thing. I'm making express chicken. No, I'm not, am I? Yeah, that's what I am. I'm making that, yeah. So what I have here is 6 slices or so of ginger. And I have a few bamboo shoots that I took out of a can of bamboo shoots that I had. And the rest of it I just freeze in little baggies in the freezer for other times that I may need it. So that's the bamboo shoots going in there. You don't need many, just a few. And I sliced up an onion, just a small onion. And in that can that's still sitting on the cutting board, that's water chestnuts. I strained the water chestnuts and I cut them in 2. And that's going to go in a second. I'm going to add a tablespoon or so of minced garlic because I didn't get my fresh stuff ready. And I added the white parts of some green onion and the tin of water chestnuts. I'm just going to show you the amount on there. And you just want to stir fry all that for like 30 seconds or so. And I got myself, or you can get yourself like 3 to 4 pounds of chicken and cut it up into pieces, smaller pieces. You can do this with a whole chicken, whatever parts of the chicken that you want. I had a package of chicken thighs. So I cut up my chicken thighs into smaller pieces. I had about 4 pounds of chicken thighs. And some of the pieces have bone in, some of them don't. This is one of my favorite soy sauce-based chickens. I think, oh gosh, maybe 1996. No, even before that. 93, around when I got married anyway, back in 93, probably around 94 or 95, somewhere in the mid-90s, I started making like different soy sauce chickens, and this is still one of my favorites to make. And express chicken, it definitely is. This is another nice, quick dinner. You make the rice and you make a rice and make this and call it a day. It's delicious. Anyway, so I fried up my ginger, my garlic, my onion, my bamboo shoots, and my water chestnuts. And now I'm adding my chicken pieces. We're going to be braising this. I do brown it slightly in there. I got to wipe the counter. I have a rag that's got a little bit of bleachy water on it. I always have that on hand when I'm cooking. So then I'm just going to toss everything. There's some oil in the pan and some oil will be coming off the chicken. And I'm going to do this for about 7 to 10 minutes. And every 2-3 minutes, I'm going to turn the chicken a little bit just to give it a slight bit of color. Okay, after about 7-8 minutes of turning the chicken a little bit in the pan, I am going to add, and I decide I'm going to mix it into a measuring cup. So I'm just going to go grab that. Now you can do a cup of water. What I'm going to do is add some chicken base to the water. Totally optional. You don't have to do this. I just think sometimes it just gives it a little boost in flavor, but it's definitely not necessary. So I'm going to do that. And to this, I'm going to mix a few things in there. A tablespoon or so of cooking wine. And then I'm going to put a few tablespoons of the light soy sauce. Just 2 or 3. 2 is fine. And I'm going to get some dark soy sauce because this is where the nice deep dark color gets into the chicken. And dark soy sauce is not usually salty, so it's just more so for color, but you can taste it. So I'm going to put 8 tablespoons of the dark soy sauce. New bottle. I just finished my dark soy sauce that I had in the fridge for a while. So 8 tablespoons of this. 1, 2, skip a few. There we go, 8. Okay, then I'm just going to pour this in with my chicken. Easy as that, people. Like Chicken Express or Express Chicken. Just giving it another toss. Yeah, so come on, Jerry. So give it a little bit of a mix about, and gonna be adding that in there. I'm excited to eat this. This is so good. Like I say, this is one of my favorite soy-based chicken recipes is doing this braised chicken. Now it's going to get really nice and dark. So these are all chicken thighs, so they stay pretty tender and juicy. Anyways, but every so often, like every 10, 15 minutes or so. Oh yeah, I forgot. I like to add a little tablespoon of sugar. I'm adding it to the liquid part there so that I can mix it through instead of putting it on top of the chicken because I usually put it in with the sauce. So mix that around. So every 10, 15 minutes or so, I'm going to come back and I'm going to toss this in the liquid so that all the chicken gets coated with all that flavor and all that goodness, and it gets all the chicken gets all nice and dark. So you want to cover this. I'm getting out a cover from one of my saucepans or one of my pots, and it doesn't fit. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to take it off my biggest pot because I measured it before. I used it before, and it fits perfect, so I'm going to put that on. And like I say, I'm going to come back every 15 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes or so. And it usually takes about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to turn it down to a simmer. Oh, you see this in my crock pot? That is teriyaki sauce. And I put a bag of frozen pork meatballs that I got from Walmart. I never bought them before. I'll let you know how they turned out. And yes, now that it was at what the heck, man? This is the last part. I let that simmer on a medium low for about an hour, turning it every so often. Then I came back and I turned it up so that I can bring it back to a nice boil because I want to do a slurry. I put 2 heaping tablespoons of cornstarch in a cup, and I'm going to get half a cup of water and mix it through till the cornstarch gets all dissolved. And I'm going to add a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of sesame oil. And that is going to add an extra oomph to the sauce. And now that see how nice and dark that chicken is? It is so good. If you guys like soy sauce chicken, you're gonna like this. So I'm just gonna add that, and after I add it, I turn it back down to a simmer, and I simmer it for like another 5 minutes, and that really thickens up the sauce. It's so good. I'm going to show you everything together. Yeah, look at that. Bubbling away, all that goodness. I couldn't resist. I had to grab myself a little piece of chicken. Yummo. So tasty. Okay, neighbors, so I did make an extra rice dish. I made a vegetable fried rice on top of this stuff, but I didn't share making it. So this is everything there. The chicken, the 2 rice dishes, the tofu, and in the crock pot is the pork meatballs with the teriyaki sauce. And it turned out pretty good, but I would want to thicken it up with a cornstarch slurry. Okay, so thank you all for being here. And here's my hubby's plate. It was delicious. Peace, love, God bless. Please come back again.